Today, I will be speaking about how much I believe certain A Song of Ice and Fire characters can bench press. My own qualifications: I am a massive A Song of Ice and Fire fan who also enjoys working out and is starting to dabble with powerlifting, so I figured today let's combine two of my passions and estimate how much I believe certain A Song of Ice and Fire characters could bench if they were to have a bench press in the A Song of Ice and Fire universe. Starting with Robert Baratheon. Now, Robert is described as being 6'6", and in his prime roughly 250 pounds, and that is a pretty beefy boy. Not to mention his main weapon of choice being a warhammer that Ned can barely lift. Now, I would approximate that this warhammer is probably around 30 pounds, and having the ability to easily swing 30 pounds around with precise control is absolutely insane, and requires someone with immense strength, specifically in the shoulders and arms. Not to mention, Robert in his prime is described as bulky. He isn't a lean and skinny 250, but a solid 250 of solid mass. This combined with the Warhammer feat makes my estimation of Robert Baratheon's 1-rep max bench press to be somewhere around 550 solid pounds. Now, taking older King Robert into account, I would see his bench press decreasing a lot, but him still being stronger than the average male, just in terms of the raw power that he would still have. So I would estimate Robert Baratheon's main series bench press at roughly 200 to 225 pounds. Next up, Brienne of Tarth. Brienne is described to be around 6'4", and while I don't like to approximate a lady's weight, I would think Brienne is around 200 pounds. Brienne is described as being incredibly strong, even when compared to regular male knights. Jaime describes her strength as abnormal. This, combined with the fact that she has the ability to overpower a few enemies at a time, leads me to believe that she is incredibly strong, and I would approximate her bench press to be around 365 pounds. Next up, I have my glorious king, Jon Snow. Now, this answer would depend on what version of Jon we use, since he gets bigger and ages as the story progresses, but for the sake of hyping him up, I'm going to use the strongest version of Jon that we have, that being Jon at the beginning of A Dance with Dragons. Now, Stannis Baratheon towers over Jon Snow, and Stannis is about 6'3", so I would mark Jon's height at this point at around 5'10", and his weight, since he is lean, at around 160 pounds. Now, Jon is a good fighter. Not the best, but good, and he is relative to other members of the Night's Watch in terms of strength and feats, and he's described as being pretty strong. He also has some moments of insane strength, but nothing completely out of the ordinary and incredibly strong. So I would assume Jon, as a teenager, is strong for his age, that being 16, but not as strong as some of the other big boys on this list. So I'd put him at about a 245-pound bench press, with good form, no elbow wraps, and glutes on the bench the entire time. Now, next up we have Bran, and in his actual body, I'm going to say Bran Stark can bench 20 pounds. However, if he were to warg into Hodor, based off of the fact that Hodor is over 7 feet tall and over 300 pounds with inhuman strength, I would estimate that Hodor can bench press 650 pounds. That is, if he even fits on the bench, or if we have the ability to get him to lock in and actually complete the lift with proper cues. Next up, let's do the Clegane brothers. I would say Sandor Clegane's strength is relative but above a prime Robert Baratheon, with him being older, more seasoned, 4 inches taller at 6'8", and at least 300 pounds. Not only that, but Sandor Clegane is able to clash swords with his brother the Mountain, making him one of the physically strongest people in the Seven Kingdoms. So with all that being said, I would place his bench press at a whopping 600 solid pounds. And Gregor Clegane, who is definitely the strongest person in the universe at this time, due to the fact that he is over 8 feet tall and weighs over 400 pounds, and based off of those stats alone and the fact that he constantly wears incredibly heavy and thick armor, I would place the mountain that rides with a bench press 1 rep max at least 1,000 pounds. And when he is revived as Robert Strong, I would say at least 1,200 pounds, making him by far the strongest bench presser in the entire world, in both A Song of Ice and Fire and the real world. Now, I don't really have a good explanation for some of these, but I feel like Robb Stark has a solid 225 bench. He just seems like the type of lad who has a solid bench, but is still coming into it in his own as a lifter. Now let's do a lightning round. I'm just going to go down a list of how much I think random characters could probably bench. Jaime is in good shape and quick, but not really strong, so I would give him a firm 275. Strong Belwas is an absolute dog, and I would think he would have a 500-pound bench press for at least a double. Khal Drogo is a bit of a beefcake, and he is constantly on his feet and gaining strength, so I'm going to say he has a solid 405. Loras Tyrell is pressing 275 alongside Jaime, since they are described as being relative towards one another in their younger years. I'm going to say Tyrion is hitting a mean 135. Sir Duncan the Tall is the type of guy to just never 1 rep max, and unironically just sit down on the bench one single time in his whole life, rep 405, and then walk out of the gym never to do it again. Ned Stark in his prime is probably hitting a mean 315. Respectable number, but nothing compared to the bigger boys on this list. So with all that being said, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. This is a very different kind of video than my usual content. I am debating making some combo videos where I talk about A Song of Ice and Fire and gym stuff more in the future. So if you would like to see or more videos about this, whether it be a character's squat max or a character's deadlift max, I'm definitely down to do that. I also just might start making some fitness content on another channel or just talk about it more frequently. So if that's something you're interested in, please let me know in the comments down below. Also, I will be dropping the first episode of my episode-by-episode review of the TV show tomorrow. So if that's something that you were waiting for, if that's something you're interested in, stay tuned because it is coming. I am very excited. It's a little rough around the edges, but I think it's solid overall. So with all that being said, if you've made it to the end of this video, again, thank you so much for watching, and I genuinely hope to catch you on the next one. Peace. I missed your second round.